Detroit Lions quarterback Jared Goff gave a really interesting quote this week. Jared Goff said, "I feel like I'm playing the best football of my entire career right now." And I agree with Jared Goff on that. This is a quarterback who once went to a Super Bowl, by the way. So, and I'm not, the numbers for Jared Goff, like statistically, may not be as incredible as years past. He's thrown for over 3,000 yards, 19 touchdown passes, 7 interceptions. The Lions are 5-7, but 5 of their 7 losses were by 1 score. And, I mean, Jared Goff and the Lions offense scored 35 points and lost to Philly, who's got the best record in the NFL. Week 1, you lost to Philly 35-38. That's painful. Remember, Jared Goff scored 45 points against Seattle and lost. Lost to Buffalo by 3. Lost to Miami by 4. This is a competitive football team that's scoring points, and Jared Goff is doing his job. And I really like the idea that maybe Jared Goff is playing better than the year he went to a Super Bowl. That year didn't end great, but I think from Jared Goff's position where he evaluates himself, it's not on the numbers and the touchdown passes and the completion percentage, but like, am I comfortable? Am I making good decisions? And Jared Goff looks like a quarterback who is playing, when it comes to a decision-making standpoint, I think very much you could argue Jared Goff is playing the best football of his career. And I think he's doing a better job running the offense himself rather than being micromanaged by Sean McVay and having Sean McVay in his ear telling him where to go and what to do. I just think Jared Goff has done a great job this year. He's definitely done his job, which is to score points and give his team a chance to win. The defense has been the number one problem for Detroit this year. I mean, they've given up the most yards and the most points, but, more points and more yards than any other NFL defense this year. And what's interesting about Detroit is that if Detroit really, really wants to replace Jared Goff, they definitely could. They're going to have the resources to do that this offseason. Detroit is going to have 2 first-round picks in the upcoming NFL draft. If the draft was today, according to, what's it called? It's Tankathon, thank you. Tankathon.com. According to Tankathon.com, if the draft was today, the Lions would have the number 15 overall pick and the number 4 overall pick. That number 4 overall pick comes from their trade with the LA Rams, Matthew Stafford for Jared Goff. But look, man, Detroit's in a really good spot right now. They're winning. And so, they're not winning a lot, but they're turning these around. They've won recently. I think they're playing well. The offense certainly is. And a big question is, will Detroit draft a quarterback or not? Because they could stick with Jared Goff and use their 2 first-round picks to draft 2 players that can have an impact and help them win next year. Maybe the 15th overall pick, they draft an offensive lineman. Maybe with the number 4 overall pick, they draft a really good defensive player, build their defensive line even more. What if they drafted 2 defensive linemen in the first round? They got just a loaded, scary front 4, which I'll tell you what, I think the best way for the Lions to win and help their defense is to get a lot of pressure on opposing quarterbacks. If they drafted a pass rusher and a defensive tackle that made an impact immediately, that could go a long way. I like that thought. I think the best way to help your defense, help your secondary, and you have guys getting beat deep and stuff, make the opposing quarterback uncomfortable. You want to know how to beat the team leading the division, the Minnesota Vikings? You hit their quarterback, Kirk Cousins. Make him uncomfortable in the pocket. You got Aiden Hutchinson already. You had 2 more defensive linemen in the first round. The rich get richer. I think that would be incredible for the Lions personally. Quarterback is not a huge need for the Lions, but they're going to have a decision to make. They do have Jared Goff under contract. I don't think his salary cap hit is insane. Like, you can decide for yourself, but he's going to be a $30 million salary cap hit next year. It's 31 the year after. It's certainly not cheap, but it's not horrible when you look around the league and consider that, Dak and Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray and Aaron Rodgers are all making like $40 million a year. I think it's fine. It's, and if Detroit wants to cut Jared Goff, they can. They can do it this offseason. They would only owe him $10 million in dead cap space. But that seems kind of crazy to cut him right now, given how well Jared Goff is playing. So I'm really curious, what is Detroit going to do? They could try to bundle their 2 first-round picks and try to trade up even further in the draft. I don't think that makes any sense, though, unless you're able to get the number 1 overall pick where you can draft Bryce Young. Let's be clear, if Detroit can replace Jared Goff with Bryce Young, you do it in a heartbeat, but that's not going to be possible. And you could draft maybe Anthony Richardson, the quarterback out of Florida, or Will Levis, but that's not really an upgrade. And Anthony Richardson's going to be amazing eventually, but not anytime soon. Maybe you draft him 15th overall if he's still there. I maintain, I think the best way for Detroit to build their offense and build their defense and help their football team is just to draft defensive linemen, because that is the way you're going to change the fortune of your defense, is to make opposing quarterbacks uncomfortable. And you look at Dallas, you look at Philly, you look at the 49ers. Why are they winning? Why are they playoff teams? It's because they make opposing quarterbacks really, really uncomfortable on defense. And that's what Detroit needs to do, in my opinion. So I really hope Detroit will stick with Jared Goff as their quarterback. They've got this great opportunity with 2 first-round picks to really build around Jared Goff. I just hope they do that. Quarterback is just simply not a need for them, but they could draft a quarterback if they want to. But I want to see Detroit stay patient with their head coach, Dan Campbell. I want to see them build around Jared Goff. But I'm curious what Lions fans have to say. So if you're a Lions fan, I actually, please do write in. Let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you want your team to do? I think Jared Goff is the answer. You stick with him. You build around him. He's clearly not why they're losing and why they're 5-7. They've lost a lot of games because their defense is terrible. But Lions fans, I want to hear from you. What do you guys have to say? Let me know. I'm really, really fascinated to hear from you guys. And I want you to write in and tell me what you guys want from your football team. I hope you draft 2 defensive linemen in the first round next year. Build that defensive line. Take the pressure off your secondary. Get after opposing quarterbacks. It'll help you stop the run. It'll help you get after quarterbacks in the passing game. And a good defensive line can really elevate the play of everyone else on your defense. And I just really like that thought. So that's what I would do if I was a Lions with 2 first-round picks. One of them probably a top 5 pick, which is awesome. They could draft a quarterback. And Lions fans, please write in. Let me know what you guys want them to do and what you would do if you were the Detroit Lions organization.